All right, let's start off by saying Barak Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Things That Vocab Haman Malone Will Never Speak On. And pretty much, I'm not able to see. I could check on my phone, make sure that we're live, and I'm almost positive we are, but let me see. Just bear with me. Okay, saying that we're live. Okay, cool. All right, so pretty much, these are things that Vocab Haman Malone will never speak on. One of the things is something I'm going to play here. It's a Amalekite. This is on Instagram. I don't own it. Fair use. I don't own the content to these videos. I'm just sharing information. I'm not making any money off of this content. I'm just sharing information. And these are the tiny tops, this devil right here. These are some evil ass motherfuckers, man. But nevertheless, I want to play this one part here. The next individual that comes up, and pretty much he's saying that America is going to be destroyed, that America is Edom, and he quotes the book of Obadiah and Jeremiah 49. Now, I've never heard anybody speak about those chapters dealing with America, dealing with Esau or Edom being America, ever, except for the Hebrew Israelites, So now all of a sudden, mysteriously, everybody's tapped in to call America Babylon the Great and Edom and all these different things. And it's amazing to see, But nevertheless, let's just roll it. Let's roll it.
The United States have no future. Yeah. That's it. There's no other way of explaining it. Edom, which is America, is going to be destroyed. There's a lot of prophecies. If you want to do just for two of them to see, one of them is in the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, and the other one is in the book of Jeremiah 49.
See? So he called America Edom, right? He said, it's going to be destroyed. He said that you could find it in the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, and you could find it in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49. Now, here it is. We've been talking about the Edomites being, the so-called white people, so-called white race, if your line goes back to the Edomites. And Vocab, vehemently, fights against us about that. He'll say the Edomites are done away with and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But he'll never fix his goddamn mouth to speak against these people and say that they're wrong on that. I'm going to have a debate with them. I'm going to go over there and have a debate with them and tell them that they're off, that the Edomites are destroyed, so on and so forth. He ain't going to do that because he's a fucking hypocrite. That's why he ain't going to do it. Let's see what else this devil says.
You'll see the destruction of Edom. So really, the United States of America is destined to crash miserably. What matters is that the fact is that the land of Edom, the United States, is going to be destroyed, and it's going to start with economy, and then it's going to lead after that to many other things. At the end of the day, Hashem is the one who's going to control everything, and it doesn't matter who he's going to put at the head of the United States to bring it down. It doesn't matter.
There you go. So there it is. Is Vocab going to talk about that? Is Vocab going to confront these people, these tiny tops, and tell them that they're going off as far as, them saying that America is Edom, that America is going to be destroyed and that America is found in the Bible as the Edomites, in the book of Obadiah, the first chapter, Jeremiah 49 and others. Of course, he ain't going to talk about that. Just like he ain't going to talk about, Trump's former advisor, pastor, what's that devil's name? Robert Morris. He pleads guilty to child sex abuse charges. He ain't going to talk about that. You know why? Because he's a fucking hypocrite. Here it is. Pastor Robert Morris, Trump's former spiritual advisor, pleads guilty to molesting a 12-year-old for years. And I'm almost positive it's going to be probably a boy at that. You know what I'm saying? So is Vocab going to talk about that? A Christian, a Christian pleading guilty to molesting a 12-year-old, right? I'm almost positive it's a boy too. Is Vocab going to talk about that? Hell no, but he's going to talk about what we ain't going to talk about. And that's why, Elder Pastor said, look, just avoid that goddamn devil like the plague. Because all you're going to do is find yourself in a game of cat and mouse, a game of circumlocution. They're not going to speak, they're not going to tell the right thing. Matter of fact, all right, let's see. I know it's going to be a long shot. Let's see, 74 time. Right, Isaiah 32:7. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He devises wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. See? So even when we speak the right things, they prepare war against us. And this we're not surprised about this. But I bet you the goddamn devil Vocab Malone ain't gonna fix his mouth to say anything about that. You heard it yourself. The tiny tops or the mini caps, they're gonna, the dude said specifically that America is Edom and it's gonna be destroyed. It's gonna start with the economy and many other things. You can find it in the book of Obadiah, the 1st chapter. You can find it in the book of Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, and other chapters. Yet not a peep from any of these motherfucking Christians. Not one. Not a Pastor Mike, not a, none of them guys out there. Divine, whatever his name is, not Divine Prospect, God Logic. None of them guys gonna say shit about that. They ain't gonna speak nothing about that. You know why? Because they're fucking insiders too. They're playing on that pink team. You know what I mean by that? On Esau's side. They're playing the game with these devils. And that's why the scriptures say that they that consent unto them shall be had in derision. Because you black devils out there, you Latino devils out there that's playing on Esau's team, you're gonna die right along with Esau. And Esau's gonna turn his back on you. He's gonna turn his back on you. You think that he's gonna help you. You think that you're helping him, you're getting it so-called his good graces. You don't know this devil's track record. He's gonna sting you right in the ass. Like he's done many other times to other Israelites that's helped him. Won't you go have a conversation with Gad about those scouts? Go have a conversation with them about the scouts and how after the scouts helped take down all the Gadites, what happened to them. Matter of fact, let me get that one precept. I don't close out. I ain't gonna make it too long. It's just, just wanted to point that out so that you can see the hypocrisy that's going on out there. It's a bunch of fucking hypocrisy. It's a bunch of hypocrisy and it's a bunch of double standards. It's a bunch of hypocrisy and a bunch of double fucking standards. And the Lord's going to put a stop to this, because I know if we're pissed off, I know the Lord is pissed off. It's only a matter of time before the Lord flattens you goddamn devils, man. And that's the only solution for you to get fucking flattened. It says, 2 Ezra 16 and 68, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. This is talking about the concentration camps, which we've been talking about constantly, going way back. And these things are already set in motion. And now you have individuals talking about, the digital system and this, that, and the micro CHIP. We're not discounting it as not being a part of the mark of the beast. And they might throw a micro CHIP in there. Bunch of fucking hypocrites, man. When the shit start happening, coming to pass, now everybody and their mama is a prophet. Everybody and their mama want to talk about these things that the prophets, the real prophets, beginning with Elder Pastor on down, have been talking about for years. When it was considered to be ridiculous, when there was no signs of it, pretty much hardly anywhere. But now all of a sudden, everybody's a goddamn expert. Everybody's a goddamn expert in breaking these things down. You got Amalek talking about America is Edom. You can find it in the book of Obadiah, the first chapter, you know, and you can find it in Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, you know. And I bet you that motherfucker Vocab Malone ain't gonna say a motherfucking thing about that. That faggot ain't gonna say shit. And I don't give a fuck if they take the video down. Kiss my motherfucking ass. How about that? It says, and they that consent unto them, meaning you clowns, you devils, you black devils, you Latino devils, you Native American Indian devils that help these devils, guess what? You're going to get bit in the ass in the end. Never trust thine enemies. You know, you think that you in their good graces, they're just smiling in your goddamn face to get what they need from you. After they finish using your stupid ass, they're going to kick you to the curb like they did all these so-called celebrities. The darling of America, O.J. Simpson, kicked to the goddamn curb. Another darling of America, Bill Cosby, they kicked his ass to the curb. You're going to learn. You niggas and spicks out there, you're going to fucking learn. You're going to learn that this devil, who this devil really is. You ain't really seen the demonic spirit that these devils really have in them. Or they're going to smile in your face, all right? You know? Until they don't need your stupid ass anymore. Then they're going to discard you like trash. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. And that's exactly what's going to happen to you. You think you're going to get away? You think they need you? You know, they think that they need you smiling in their face and, you know, and you know, kissing their ass. They're just tolerating you until you accomplish your mission. Once you accomplish your mission, you out of there. You gone. Once they don't need you anymore, they discard of you. They detest your fucking ass. The only reason they use you dummies, you black and you so-called Latino, you know, so-called black and so-called Latino individuals out there in the apologist movement or whatever the fuck it's called, is because they're just using your stupid ass to try to destroy as many Israelites out here as possible. Once they don't need you anymore, you gone. You out the door. And which one of you out there, Pastor Mike, all of you individuals out there, all of you apologists, you black, so-called black apologists, which one of you motherfuckers is going to talk about that video at the beginning of this video where the rabbi said himself that America is Edom and it's going to be destroyed? It can be found in the book of Obadiah, the 1st chapter, and Jeremiah, the 49th chapter. You fucking get on us every goddamn day. You know, you get on us all the time about calling the so-called white men, the Edomites, ridiculing us, you know, talking about that we bugged out. And what are you going to say about them? You know what you're going to say about them? Not a motherfucking thing. Not a motherfucking thing. That's what you ain't going to say shit. Just like Vocab Malone ain't going to say shit. And Vocab Malone ain't going to talk about Trump's spiritual advisor, you know, that got caught with his pants down. You know, Pastor Robert Morris, Trump's former spiritual advisor, pleads guilty to molesting a 12-year-old for years. And I bet you that it was a boy too. You ain't gonna talk about that. But then you're gonna get on us, call us the worst thing ever. But that's okay. You know, matter of fact, get one more precept and I'll close. Let's go to Isaiah 59. And I'm not sure the exact verse. Let me just do it this way. Okay, that's not it. I thought it was in Isaiah 59. Let's see. Okay, Isaiah 29. Okay, I thought it was 59. Isaiah 29 and 20. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. You're going to be dealt with. Every last one of you clowns, you're going to be dealt with. Some of you are just simple, gullible, and some of you know what the fuck you're doing. The ones that are just simple and gullible, they're gonna be smacked, but they ain't gonna be smacked as hard as you demons, you goddamn devils. I'm talking about you black and Latino devils, so-called black and Latino devils. You're gonna be spanked the hardest because you know better. Some of you are tapped all the way in with these devils. You know what the fuck you're doing. Let's see, NLT. Those who convict the innocent by their false testimony will disappear. A similar fate will await the trickery to pervert justice. NIV. Those who with a word make someone out to be guilty, right? That make a man an offender for a word. It says those who with a word make someone out to be guilty, who ensnare the defender in court and with false testimony deprive the innocent of justice. And you're going to be dealt with, man. Every last one of you. Every last one of you so-called black and Latino and Native American Indian Christians that's helping these devils push their agenda, push their white supremacist agenda, that plantation / Renaissance Christianity, the Most High is going to deal with every last one of you. You can't fight against the Most High. You can't fight against Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You know, you can't do it. You won't be able to do it. You're going to be shut down. The Lord's going to shut your big fat mouth. Isaiah 54:17, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So you heard this, devil. You got the receipt. Some of you brothers, I'm sure you're going to, get a copy of that, the first part of this video, where that rabbi said, that America is Edom, and that it's going to be destroyed, and that you can find it in the book of Obadiah, the 1st chapter. You can find it in the book of Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, and other places. But yeah, when we say it, we bugged out. Esau, the Edomites are done away with. They're gone. We don't know where they went. They all dead. But this guy says it, and I bet you not one of them clowns is going to say anything. Let's see how many. Let's see by tomorrow or by the end of this week. Or we're at the end of the week already. But let's see if by next week, let's see if any of these so-called apologists are going to speak on that. Let's see if Vocab is going to talk about his homeboy, Pastor Morris. Pastor Robert Morris, Trump's former spiritual advisor, pleads guilty to molesting a 12-year-old for years. Let's see if he's going to talk about that. He ain't going to talk about that, you goddamn devil. And he ain't gonna talk about these guys. You know why? Because he's an Amalekite. Remember, a lot of those Amalekites came out of that region of Germany. All right. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.